All right, team, back with Dev vlog number 2. Actually getting into things instead of just talking about getting into things. This is a partial one to see if the space heater being in the garage is going to be a problem or, make too much noise and whatnot. Let me flip you around and we will check out the board that we've got going on here. So, before I get too far into it, let's look at what we've got going on. We've got the Dwarf prints. It's kind of, man, this is why everybody else has them painted. Because then you can see what the F they are from further away. We've got the Dwarf prints. I'll use my painted one from back when I was like 17. Oh yeah, we're still, in the garage. Gonna be here for quite some time. This Ironbreaker I painted like 20 years ago. I love him. I had this like green metallic that I had bought because in Warhammer they had something called Grommel armor, which was like better than the other people's armor. I wanted a special kind of colored metallic to represent that. So today what's on the docket is that we have our first battle report I'm going to film. It's going to be in the dev vlog style. You're going to hear me rambling and blah, 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 and all of that fun stuff. If you're just barely tuning in, I'd go watch the first dev vlog video so you know what you're getting into. But we're going to test AtomsPast. Now, as you can see here, we've got the rules for our Dwarf prints being ambushed. We have the rules for our Banished Necromancer for this ambush. This is all brand new and brand new channel, so nobody's been paying attention. But what we're doing is this good old wizard. He was effing around with dark magic, and so he got banished into the mountains. And he's been slowly forming a little army of skeletons. The very first thing he reanimated was a giant cave spider that was literally moments from death, and it was his first successful necromantic spell. And because it died, and he was able to just bring it right back to life. I don't know why, but I really like this story. And it gave him the confidence to start raising his other skeletons. These dudes are just pretty normal skeleton warrior bros that'll go in and fight. And obviously everybody's going to go in and fight. These guys are being amalgamations of dead dwarves all cobbled together by the banished necromancer into these skeleton ogres, terrifying shock troops. And the story of today's battle is that the Dwarf Prince has been summoned by their longtime ancient allies of the Hammer Templars, a human faction, to aid in a battle. And they're quick heading off to a war council. And the Banished Necromancer had been planning to ambush some more dwarves using, up in the mountains, and make some more skelly boys and keep growing his army to eventually, amass power and take over the world if need be. I haven't really gone into what the Banished Necromancer wants to do in his long-term goals, because this is for development. I've only made up a story to kind of flesh out the situation. So let's look at, really quick, what you get with the AtomsPast. So this all comes from the app. You create all the custom rules, and you pick your keywords and all of that fun jazz. And you see here I've got like Templars of the Hammer, their durability, their movement, their melee ability, whatnot. That'll come more in as we start playing the game. But you make these lists in the app, and everything is calculated on the fly. Everything's completely custom within the rules of the program. And then you print out your lists or have them on your phone or whatever. Here's the Necromancer and how he has some different things. He's more ranged ability there, you see. He gets power from pain. For every 4 damage this model causes in melee, add 1 power to your power pool. And here we go. I've got the devlog problem right now. That's not meant to be just a melee ability. I'm going to have to go fix that. For now, we're just going to play that it's ranged. Haha! That's why we're doing a devlog, so we can catch these little things and make it as good of a game as we possibly can. So, we're going to do some of this setup. We're going to start this game. The AtomsPast specific rules. Hold up. I first want to give a shout out to my wife who gave me these amazing gems to use just for fun. She had these all on her desk, her rocks and gems, and at her work desk, and she was like, hey, you need some terrain for up in the mountains? Here you go. And I don't know, I think it's oddly fitting that the dwarves are kind of coming out of their cave. This is not the formation that they're going to be in. I'm just jumping all over the place. So thank you to my phenomenal wife for some actual terrain as we're doing the garage playtesting, and a lot of the rocks are just duct tape. So I'm going to start setting up the models and roll the dice. So how you determine who gets to start setting up in AtomsPast first is you roll a die. This black die is going to be, well, you roll for highest. And what's kind of cool about AtomsPast is the way the game is structured. You could have multiple people. Sorry, my dog was just sniffing really funny at the door and just scared the crap out of me. Hold on, I gotta go let him in. Alright, well, the good news is that I don't think you can hear the space heater too much. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to see at the end of the video. If anyone sees this, then maybe they'll say, hey, you can hear the space heater. But there you go. We'll try and fix that as we see fit. Okay, to get started in an AtomsPast game, let's get into it. Talking less, doing more. You both roll. Silver, armory, is going to be the dwarves, and the black is going to be for the necromancer. And, oh, I was in the middle of saying that AtomsPast is a multiplayer game. Because, as you'll see, the activation timers for how units move and stuff, you can play a multiplayer game. You can play it. I am hoping that it naturally scales pretty well. We'll see if that's the truth, though. All right. Okay. Gotta love double sixes. We'll pretend that's great luck for the game. Okay. How many times are we gonna roll doubles for this sucker? Oh, holy shit! I thought that was gonna be doubles again. Okay, that was a 3. So the dwarves are gonna go first. I am playing with 2 modifications to the core rules, and if I was watching this from somewhere else, I'd be like, well, why are you showing me the rules and then immediately changing them? The point of AtomsPast is really to give you this in a fair, good format, and the way to play on bigger spaces in a fair, good format, and to then be able to modify it to smaller faces. So in typical, or to smaller places, smaller play areas. I do think AtomsPast has the ability to do like really smaller games. I think like probably close to the Warhammer Warcry style of, just like 5 to 10 models, up to larger battles. because everything is on the point system that continues to scale up. You scale up your models and you scale up the points. Hopefully that'll make more sense. I'm not describing this very well. You know those days where you just don't feel very eloquent at all? That's me right now. The modification we're playing on this table, because this is actually a much smaller table under here than what you see for the green mat, is we're going to play that deployment starts 5 inches from where I can kind of feel where the table is, and then at least 10 inches away from any enemy models. Setup is done alternating. So the dwarves went first. They're going to set up first. They get to pick their 2 table edges. When you're just playing against one other person, you get 2 table edges. And then the necromancers will set up a model. And that model, whenever you're setting up your model, it has to be typically 10 inches from your table edge, at least under 10 inches from your table edge. We're doing 5 because we're on such a small table, as we should do, as we should modify the rules is to fit our scenario and game as best we can. And 10 inches away from enemy models. So I'm going to pretend that the Hammer Templars are going to kind of be scouting and leading the way, and the dwarf retinue for my models, they're called depth guards, which kind of sounds oceanic, honestly, like submarine dudes. I'm so glad I planted that in your head instead of just saying, yeah, that's what they are. Yeah. So I'm going to set up one of these guys first, and I'm going to move everything off the table so that it's clear what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do first. This is going to be cobbled together by multiple videos. Hold on. Models cleared. I hope nobody wants to just listen to me ramble while I clean up and stuff like that. That's certainly something I could do. I'm pretty good at rambling. Alright. Models cleared. We're going to take our Hammer Templar dude, and I kind of want to thread him right here, because then I'm going to not have... I'm going to pick these 2 table edges. I'm not zoomed out enough. These 2 table edges from my dwarves. And this guy is going to be 5 inches-ish. If you're like me, when I've watched other people do battle reports, I kind of hate when it's like... Because I played some war games, not competitively, but moderately competitively. I like to play competitive. I like to play hard and have a lot of fun that way. I like to be chill and play hard, you know, try and win and have fun that way. That sounds douchier than I hoped that it would. I believe in being really a chill and gentlemanly opponent. I like games that are competitive and balanced to be able to do that, and I feel like that makes it more exciting and fun, and that's been a big design philosophy here. Okay, we're gonna have the Necromancer. He's gonna put his first dude. I'm gonna put my first guy as Necromancer and pretending to be him now. Let's make that 10 inches. Whoop! Sorry, you get to deal with that for a second. Okay, 10 inches from him, 10 inches from that table edge. I'm going to put this sneaky skeleton over here to, over 10 inches away. I'm not showing what's going on. This is going to take some getting used to. I'm putting a sneaky skeleton over there for my Necromancer. The next one... How far off is he? Could I put another Hammer Templar dude right here? I could, behind that rock. I'm not sure that's worth it, though. I think I'm going to use my other Hammer Templar, or another one, to come try and help secure... I'm going to pretend that they were kind of scouting that the dwarf prince left in such a hurry, ill-advised by his priests and advisors to set out with such haste without rangers and whatnot scouting for him. So I'm going to put this other Hammer Templar, I'm going to pretend that he was also scouting for the prince. He's going to be up on this little rocky outcrop. Partly to just shut off that the Necromancer being able to deploy over here kind of close to my guys, and I'll probably now set up the king right here in this open space. So, okay. Next, Skelly Boy. I'm going to do this guy. I'm going to do a similar thing. I feel like kind of section off. Oh, man. I'm going to have to work on this camera angle thing so that I'm not effing this up for you guys. He's going to be right there. I don't know if that translated well through the camera. But, okay. And now, some deployment will be slightly faster. I think I am going to have... Yeah, I'm going to make a little formation thing. These two guys, I'm going to pretend like they were like flanking. And that's 5 inches, so I can just use that. And I'm going to start having... Oh my gosh, he's like basically perfect right there if he's not too close to this guy. He needs to be a little bit further back. He's going to be this way. Okay. Now, Skelly Boy, if I was being the Necromancer, what would my plan be from this point? I know that the dwarves aren't going to be popping up here because that would be too close, or over there, so I know they're going to be, you know, in this general area. And I want to get as close as I can with some overwhelming force, if possible. Okay. Enough jibber jabber. Let's do... We're going to have this guy join him. Look, he's even going to point. He's going to point over there. Templar dude over there, see? Go kill that motherfucker. All right. My next hammer boy is going to be just up 5 inches here. Kind of forming like a little... They were scouting ahead. I'm going to have this guy be here. Is that as far up as he can get off the board? No, he could be a little bit further, as long as he's not too close. Here? Nope. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. On we go. So this is... Well, I'll just keep going. I was going to cut, but I guess the point is to talk about why I thought this deployment was good for AtomsPast. I think it adds some tactical options. Where are you going to put your first model, and how is that going to like kind of create a zone around there that like you could set up other models, and then you get to kind of section off an area, and then your opponent gets to section off an area, and you guys get to kind of do that. And I felt like it gave more play around the terrain. We're going to have to test and see if that's accurate. Okay, we got 4 hammers, 4 skeletons. It's time. The dwarves are going to start coming in. This is going to be pretty straightforward, because I'm going to have them be right up in between. It's the first of my depth guard. And then this guy is definitely closer, so he's going to be coming here. Let's make sure I'm not 5 inches away from, or I'm not too far off the, yeah. Man, it's tough because, like, that's not table. But this is the biggest table that I could fit in the garage for right now. Woo! We're doing it. We're figuring it out, and we're just going to keep going. Okay, another depth guard. Bam, I'm going to remake that formation that you already saw. I thought it was cool looking. So the dwarves are going to be real easy to set up. I'm going to do this big boy right back behind them. I wonder wonder how close I could get this guy. He might be running. He might be trying to move in the middle and then come up. We'll see. Depth guard. You know, you can place any model at any time. Like, con models are the only ones that have any special differences. So it's kind of like, whatever. I'm going to place my dwarf con, my leader, my dwarf prince. I guess this is a good point to, if you've tuned in thus far. In AtomsPast, there are no objectives. Design-wise, I feel like objectives, a lot of the time, I don't want to say that they muddy up the gameplay. While I ramble about this, I'm going to go ahead and do my other stuff. I don't feel like they... Well, yeah, I do. I do feel like they muddle up a lot of the gameplay, because then, especially for a balanced game, it's just another variable. Like, is this a unit that, or a model that's really good at holding objectives, and how many of those do I need? And I can see some value in that. It's not that I don't think that's cool. I just placed that guy. It's just that I don't think it's like... I feel like it takes a serious hit from the competitive nature of war games in a way. It depends on how the objectives are handled. I thought the objectives in War Machine and Hordes, from what I remember, it's been a really long time since I played that game. I remember their objectives being slightly better, but I think a big part of that was if you fell behind in the objective game, you could always try and kill their leader. I took that concept not so much from them, but from chess, that the whole point of the game is to kill the leader. You take out the con, and the con takes out the magical connection to the battlefield. Because in AtomsPast, man, I should have talked about this before, but that's why it's a rambling devlog. In AtomsPast, you are a greater magic user. You're a greater con. And your mini-cons that lead your war bands, you connect with them, you cast spells through them, whatnot. The strength of the AtomsPast system in giving you the rules to play with any model that you want, custom made the way that you want your models to behave, is that you can play, you know, sci-fi or fantasy or whatever else, and it should fit. I forget what I was talking about with that, so we're just going to move on. Come on, Green Bay Packer Dwarf. And now we are to the cave spider. I'm going to quick look up. I placed the cave spider right there, which underneath this, whoo, he makes such terrible noises with his feeties, but I don't have his base on right now. I'm going to look up the cave spider stats, because I might be trapping him. And it's been a while since I've been able to look. Giant undead cave spider. What's its move? Move 5. And it's got mass 2, reanimated, regeneration, brute strength, and poison melee attacks. Okay. It does not have a special movement modifier, but it is faster than almost anything else. I think the Banished Necromancer is movement 6, but well, I'm gonna have to figure out moving him around. I kind of sectioned him off over there. Well, just because I said I loved war games didn't mean that I was good at playing them. Okay. I'm gonna add this dwarf guy right. Whoop, this dwarf guy right here. This is tough, trying to hold the camera steady and do some of that stuff. Okay. My Banished Necromancer is going to go right here. Ooh, I like that. So they were coming down from the mountain to try and ambush these guys. Maybe they're coming through a pass right here, entering this area. And then the Necromancer likes to ambush people, but this guy scouting kind of pushed them that way so they don't do a surround with the rocks. Yeah, that's the story. We're sticking with it. All right, and here's the last model. Okay. I'm going to ramble here for a minute, and then I haven't thought about this, but I think I'm going to do the first turn of the dwarves and then explain everything. I think that would be easier and quicker. I'll do a recap at the end of the turn. And all, like, there's no attacks or charges that can happen in the first turn. But not just this game. That's like a typical AtomsPast rule. You can't, if you have a crazy ranged weapon, you don't get to just blast open fire. That might change later, but as of now, I thought that gave way too big of an advantage to range-specific armies that they could just set up with a crazy amount of range, because you get to pick how many points you're going to put into how far everything can shoot, all their guns and whatnot. And so, anywho, or whatever they're shooting. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the first turn. And then I'm going to explain. So it's going to be the dwarves' first turn. Lots of people, I'm going to make a quick side tangent. Lots of people really enjoy alternating activations. And I have wondered how well that could fit into this game. How it's structured now does not work that way because it uses... I didn't feel it was as necessary with the time system in the game. We'll have to see as things go along, and hopefully some of you guys try it out and let me know if it's any good. Okay, I'll be back after I do the dwarfs turn 1. Alright, back most of the way done with the dwarves turn 1. Now, everybody just kind of shuffled. This guy shuffled up there. That guy, they shuffled. They kind of came together. This guy moved up, kind of preparing for, the forces of evil coming towards them. And you'll see these dice next to him, here and here. And those are called activation dice. So, kind of jumping into what's going on here. Every model, if it does not have an activation dice, can perform either a move, a run, a melee attack, a ranged attack, or a charge. And the move costs 2, running costs 3, performing a melee attack costs 3, performing a ranged attack costs 3, and performing a charge costs 4. Now, at the start of the game, or whenever you have groups of models that all have the same activation timer, because those tick down every turn, you can just kind of gather them all together. This whole group just moved forward. So they are all, technically all of them should have their own, but you don't need to do that until you get more into the weeds of things. It sounds slightly oppressive in some ways that all of them would be tracked separately, but my experience so far with testing the game is that it is not too bad. Now, these dice represent the power, which matches the turn. It's turn 1, round 1. It's my turn. Every round, each player gets power. I'm using that white dice over there. And then that power can be used for various things. I'll talk about that in just a second. And these are counters for the spells. I'm going to show you the dwarf spells here. So in AtomsPast, you can create custom spells. You make this spell in the game system. So I called this one Ancestral Roar, Embolden Your Warriors. Again, I wasn't going for Tolkien level writing here. I was trying to, I'm trying to test things. I'm not spending forever making my lists. I'm trying to test various different rules and whatnot. So this one really buffs them up and makes them tougher with Brave 2. That lets them have durability buffs. and then they can perform a melee attack. It costs, as you can see right there, Acti cost 13. So originally, this dice would be at 13. Man, that is so hard to do, holding the camera and trying to like... and this other dice would be 6. That's for Enduring March, which helps them move. It increases their move until the end of the turn, and they perform a move. So they can scoot along a little bit with their stubborn, stubby dwarf legs. I'm a short guy. I got stubby legs. And those down-ticked at the start of my turn. You're slowly accumulating power towards your spells, and then once those have down-ticked, you can spend power to cast those spells. Now, this one power I could use in a lot of different ways. So, well, not like a ton of different ways. There's 3 main ways you use power. You can accelerate a model. So if I accelerate in any of these, I'd need to grab another dice, because that model would just have... Let me grab one just to represent. Let's say I was like, oh, I'm going to accelerate this guy, so that maybe he charges up and takes some damage from them while these guys shuffle up and sets up some charges. So this dude would be down to activation timer 1. The rest of these guys would have the same too. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is accelerate one of my spells activation timers. Because my opponents are split, because I'm such a military genius, no, just because I'm like going along with stuff, I am going to downtick this spell. Now, in this small skirmish game, I wanted to test stuff and start showing off how the game works. I only did 2 spells. And one of your spells is called your con spell. It's your special spell. And when you downtick that one, it downticks by 2. When you accelerate it, it downticks by 2. So that guy is going to go down to 10. And I have used my power dice. And my turn would be over. Everything's activated. All of my entire board just moved and will have activation timers too. Next turn I'll probably start messing with which ones are going to start accelerating and moving up the board more. Whew! That's a lot for today. It was a lot of talking. Right now I'm at... I'm trying to flip my camera and I'm failing. Where is the flippy button? Okay, I don't know. I think I'm going to post what I have so far as an example of the game starting. And then tonight, I'll keep cobbling it together. Ignore my ramblings. It'll be the Necromancer turn 1 when I can return.